All right, in the world of finance, with all its complex terms and numbers, there's this one figure whose very life is basically a ticking clock for a multi-billion-dollar industry. They're the central gear in the whole annuity machine, and today we're going to find out exactly who they are. So who is this person? Who is this individual that insurance companies use as a literal human stopwatch to schedule these huge financial payouts? It sounds kind of wild, right? And there it is, the annuitant. Okay, it's a formal sounding title, I get it, but the concept is actually beautifully simple. This is the person whose life is the measuring stick. The entire financial setup of an annuity, when it pays, how much it pays, and for how long, is all built around the predicted lifespan of this one individual. It really is that direct. For a second, forget all the complex market algorithms. At its very core, the most fundamental variable in an annuity contract isn't some number on a spreadsheet, it's a single human life. Everything else just flows from that. So how does one person's life get translated into a concrete payment plan? Let's get into the mechanics of it. Pop the hood and see how this blueprint is actually drawn up. The whole calculation really hinges on these three key factors. The annuitant's age and gender are fed into these massive data sets called actuarial tables. And there's a really important reason why. For instance, these tables show that women, on average, live longer than men. So what does this mean in practice? Well, an identical annuity might pay a woman a smaller amount each month, but it's spread out over a longer predicted period. It all helps the insurance company forecast that third and most important factor, their life expectancy. The process itself is pretty methodical. The insurance company takes those personal details, runs them through their statistical models to forecast a life expectancy, and from that, they set the terms. The end result is a super precise schedule that determines the payout amount and exactly how long it's going to last. So, you see, the annuitant isn't just some name on a form. Their personal profile, their age and gender, it literally becomes the architectural plan for the entire financial product. Now, this is where it can get a little confusing. The annuitant sounds like the most important person in the deal, right? But are they actually the one in charge? Well, not necessarily. There's a really key difference between the annuitant and the person who actually owns the contract. Let's break this down. Think of the annuitant as the measuring stick. Their life sets the timeline for the payments. Simple enough. The contract owner, on the other hand, is the manager. They own the contract, they make the decisions, they fund it. Now, a lot of the time, they are the same person, but, and this is important, a contract owner can choose someone else, like a spouse or a child, to be the annuitant. So, we've defined the role, we've looked at the mechanics, but this all leads to one critical question. What is the ultimate consequence of being the annuity's human stopwatch? Exactly. It brings us right back to the beginning. When that human stopwatch stops, what happens to the flow of money? This is the absolute bottom line. The annuitant's life literally starts and, in many cases, stops the flow of money. Their lifespan isn't just some factor in the calculation, it is the payout clock. And what happens when that clock stops depends entirely on the fine print. In some annuities, the payments stop right then and there. That's it. In others, designed with different features, the payments might continue on to a named beneficiary. It all comes down to the specific rules laid out in that contract from day one. So we end with this. Given that one person's life expectancy shapes the entire financial structure, dictates the payment schedule, and determines when the money might stop, is the selection of that person, the annuitant, the single most critical decision you have to make? It's definitely something worth thinking about.